For the first time since before my mother was born, 1956, the Detroit Lions sit at 7-1. And with a win over the Houston Texans on Sunday, they will go 8-1 and be that way for the first time in 71 years since 1953. And it's a big game, not as big as, let's say, a divisional game or a conference game, but big nonetheless. This is a game I had the Detroit Lions losing earlier in the season, before the season even began, when we do our way too early predictions. But times have changed, and the Houston Texans are possibly without their best wide receiver. They're down Stephon Diggs. Will Anderson Jr. is out. And if Nico Collins does play, how much of a factor will he be? So the team is different. C.J. Stroud coming off getting sacked 8 times in his last game. Offensive line is Swiss cheese. A completely different team than I expected, and the one that we saw very early on playing this season. And the Detroit Lions have an opportunity to go in a game my wife and I wanted to go to this game, but finances, when we looked at costs to get the tickets, to fly, to stay, it added up really quickly, and at the time we weren't able to go, but that's okay. I will be watching it from the comfort of the home with you guys on the NFL stream as well. But we are going to do the final prediction, man, for the Detroit Lions versus Houston Texans. Here we go. According to ESPN, wow, the closest matchup was last week against the Green Bay Packers, and you see how the Detroit Lions handled those guys. The predictor gives the Detroit Lions a 61.6% chance to a 38% chance for the Houston Texans. Passing yards, Jared Goff, 158 for 212, 1840 with 4 interceptions and 14 touchdowns. I got ahead of myself. The last time Jared Goff threw an interception, I believe he only had 3 touchdowns. He has thrown 11 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in the last couple of games. He has less incompletions than he does touchdowns. Or I should say he has more touchdowns than he does incompletions, which is insane. The Detroit Lions have more offensive touchdowns than he has incompletions. C.J. Stroud, 188 out of 296 for 2,139 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions as well. Jahmyr Gibbs, the leading rusher, 103 carries with 656 yards with 7 touchdowns. And Joe Mixon, 126 carries, 609 for 6 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 48 receptions, 464 yards and 6 touchdowns. Nico Collins, oh my goodness, 32 receptions, and he's missed the last 4 games. 32 receptions, 567 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Imagine had he played. Tickets as low as $126. They weren't that when I was looking. Already got this, who's going to be out. Of course, Aiden Hutchinson's out. Malcolm Rodriguez, Zadarius Smith is questionable. He's probably, I don't know, man. I'm on the fence about him. Taylor Decker out. Jalen Reeves-Maybin out as well. Houston Texans, we saw this. Tank Dell is questionable. Nico Collins, I believe, is questionable. Will Anderson and Dameon Pierce is out. Last 5 games, the Detroit Lions. I don't think I've ever seen this. I've never seen the last 5 games wins for the Detroit Lions on a 5-game winning streak. That is insane. I think they're a 6-game winning streak, right? Because we beat are we a 6 or 7? I think we're on we're on a 6-game winning streak. We can make it 7 with the win over the Houston Texans. That is insane. The Houston Texans are 3-2 in their last 5, coming off a win-win, loss, win-loss. So, yeah, that's what they're 3-2 in their last 5 games. Let's take a look at their ranking comparison for the 2024 season thus far. The Detroit Lions are first on offense and points per game to 17 for the Houston Texans. Total offense 7th for the Detroit Lions, 11 for the Houston Texans. Rushing offense 6-11. Passing offense 15-13. Third down offense is 7. That number has jumped up tremendously since that first quarter of the season to 16 for the Houston Texans. Red zone efficiency, we are tied for 8th. They are tied for 15th. Giveaways, we are tied for 4th. They are tied for 8th. Defense, let's see how this kind of matches up. Points per game, 5 to their 14. Total defense, 22. They have the second best defense in the National Football League. Wow, I did not know that. Rushing defense, 7th to their 12th. Passing, 29th to 3. Wow. That's going to be a tough one right there. Third down defense, we are number one. Number one in third down defense. That is crazy because I just made a video about this and I said we were third. I must have read that wrong. I'm not sure. They are tied for 9th. Red zone efficiency, 4th for us and 30th for them. So, wow, that is insane. They can't stop anybody in the red zone, and we stop pretty much everybody. Takeaways, we're 3rd to their 10th. So, the Detroit Lions, man. Early on, you would have been like, man, Texans. I think a lot of people had the Texans as an L. You had Stephon Diggs. You had Nico Collins. The defense was clicking. The pass rush, everything, man. And now it's almost like they're slowly unraveling and falling apart. So, with that being said, my biggest question is Za'Darius Smith going to play? And if so, will he get to the quarterback? I think he has a sack in his first game. His first game as a Detroit Lion, I think he has a sack. Speaking of sacks, I think the Detroit Lions defensive line will get at least 2 sacks. The Detroit Lions have had 5 sacks in the last 3 games, coming off a no-sack game last week against the Green Bay Packers. I think they do away with that, and I think whether Nico Collins plays or not, will he be 100%? And if so, so what? You can let him eat. You got Tank Dell and Mixon. You stop Mixon, get to CJ Stroud, you win the game, right? The fact that their passing defense and all that stuff is so great, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because their passing defense is 3rd in the league. Doesn't bother me because Jared Goff, man, he's a force. He really is. And this offense is clicking now. We're talking about 6 wins in a row. And we've put up mad points in our last, let's look at this. Our wins. What have we put up? In our wins, we have put up, so we've almost, in the last 5 games, and this is when we were 173 points up until then. So then you add another 24, 197 points in our last 5 games. That is ridiculous. So I think that we keep that rolling and we get a win against the Houston Texans. I think the defensive line gets at least 2 sacks when it comes to CJ Stroud. I think that offensive line is trash. And I think that Za'Darius Smith, if he does play a minimum of 20 snaps, I think he gets a sack. If he only plays like 5 or 6, maybe not, but it's going to be good. We got Mekhi Wingo. We got Josh Pascal back. We've got some guys. Now, we will be down Taylor Decker, but that's okay. Throw Penei Sewell over there, and then you could put somebody on that right side. So that's what I think is going to happen. Lions are going to go for 7 in a row. They're going to improve for 8-1 for the first time since 1953, and we are going to continue and remain to be in first place in the NFC after 10 weeks, which means 8 more weeks to go. 8 more weeks, and your Detroit Lions could have the first seed, which has never happened. They have never had the first seed in the Super Bowl era. And I had to remember this thanks to the chat. When in 1991, because it's funny because I forgot about this. It's only been a few years, but I forgot about this, that up until recently, in 2020 was the first year of the 7-team playoffs. So we had 16 games, but 7 teams were in the playoffs. And that was so 2019 was the last year of the 6th seed when it was just the 6th seed and you had 2 bye weeks. The only perk to having the 1st and 2nd seed have bye weeks was the 1st seed still had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But now, since you've taken that 2nd seed away, you've taken that bye away to account for the 7th team, then home field advantage is even more important. That means that the Detroit Lions, literally, the Super Bowl would go through Detroit. It's insane. So they would never have to leave Ford Field until they're flying to New Orleans, which my plan would be to fly with them. Like, seriously, man, I'm already contemplating ways, trying to see when I could buy my tickets and all that stuff just to even get close to where the game is going to be played. I don't think I can go when you see them ticket prices, but I would love to be down there, man. So the Detroit Lions have an opportunity to do something special and continue to grow and push toward the playoffs, because now trade deadline is over. Now we're talking playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're talking seeding at this point, and we're going down. The Lions have 5 games in the month of November, and then we come down the stretch. We've got 5 games. My biggest concern, honestly, is those 3 games in 11 days. The Detroit Lions went 2-1 last year. One of them we should have lost. We should have really went 1-2, but we had that comeback win against the Bears. So we're going to see how this thing goes and go from there, man. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We will be live streaming tomorrow for the pregame tailgate, the game as well, and then we're still doing the post-game show directly after Sunday Night Football. Let me know what you guys think. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. Don't be boring, and make good decisions. And as always, go Lions. Because you rock with some people, and they boring than a mug. I'm just saying. Dry eyes.